Welcome back to the MBP movie podcast. Joining me as usual is my brother Dan. Dan, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Good.
And we have our honorary Marshall brother from across the pond from Canada, our good friend Adam Basciano. Adam, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Now I'm part of the family. That's nice.
Yeah, Adam Marshall, I should have said.
Why not? Let's go for it. I'm glad to be back. Honestly, I thought I killed the podcast there for a couple of weeks because I was the last episode for a while. I'm like, geez, did I kill it? Did I pull a Thanos and then snap this thing out of existence? Or what?
Oh, we did do one last week, didn't we?
Yeah, no, but for
sorry, yeah.
Yeah, we did have we were supposed to do
ago.
Blade, weren't we? We were supposed to do Blade, and then never got.
Yeah, we'll get to it at some point.
Oh, Blade, you mean the Marvel movie?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie.
Oh, well, we can have you on for that then as well.
Oh, well, sounds good. I'll just make myself comfortable.
So, first thing we'll touch on, Dan, you can take lead with this about our new film that's been released.
Yeah, it's called A Chance Meeting, and I think I'd describe it as a romantic comedy. Would you say that's right, bro?
Yeah, I think so. I'd add quirky in there as well.
Yeah, it's a quirky romantic comedy would probably be a better example of it. I don't want to spoil it, so I'll just leave a link in description, and if you got a spare 5 minutes, go check it out.
Yep, and if you want to find our page on YouTube, it's marshallbross.productions. We've got other films there as well, so check us out.
And can I just chime in? I watched it, and I thought it was very well done. It's really entertaining, really funny, and the music choice was spot on. So well done on that regard.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing you were missing was Superman flying in and snapping somebody's neck. That would have went over really well in the comment section. Next time for the sequel.
Thanks for the good feedback, Adam. You've earned you $20.
Let's PayPal that over whenever you can. No, I'm kidding. It was good stuff.
So usually at the start I will ask what we've been watching, but I think I'm going to skip that this week, guys, and just go straight into the news and chit chat. That's okay with you?
Yep.
So first thing, and this probably won't interest Adam too much because it's horror, but there was the new Child's Play trailer for the new Chucky movie. There was a lot of bad vibes towards the film leading up to it, but then since then they've cast Mark Hamill as the voice of Chucky, which Adam will probably appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have got Bear McCreary to do the music, and he did a little tease on Twitter. I think it was on Instagram or Twitter or something, and that was really cool as well. But then we actually got his first trailer, and I think it looks really good, so I'm actually looking forward to that. But I don't know, did you guys watch the trailer? I know, Adam, you maybe didn't, but for Child's Play?
Yeah, I checked it out just because of Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill, yeah.
Which, to be honest with you, if I do watch the movie, that'll be it. And it's not like it's not like I'm more of a classical Universal Monsters kind of guy. That's my kind of scary movie type thing. But this, again, because I'll watch anything that Mark Hamill's in, because more so because of the Joker than because of Star Wars. But that's another point. But yeah, I mean, it looked pretty interesting, given my general lack of.
You've got some reservations with horror, haven't you? So.
Yeah. It just depends on the particular.
Do you like films have you ever seen The Monster Squad? Have you seen that film?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, but
that's kind of a horror, but not. So maybe we could get you on for that later in the year or something.
Yeah, if you guys do stuff. Yeah, if you guys do let's say Monster Squad or
Ghostbusters or something.
Yeah, Ghostbusters, Dracula, any of the core Universal monsters, that kind of stuff. I love that stuff. It's just like the Saws of the world and the.
See, I love horror and I don't like Saw. So.
Chainsaw Massacre crap, like that kind of stuff.
I think the first Saw is brilliant. It was just the sequels where it got a bit more about inventive killing, I think.
Because the first Saw was a bit more of a mystery, wasn't it, rather than a straight up horror movie. So
if you want to watch a really cheap, watered down version of Saw, there's an episode of Smallville that was out there that basically the entire plot.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen that trailer, but
I did tag you in it, bro. I know you won't watch it.
You tagged me in it when?
Ages ago on Twitter when it came out.
Did you?
Yeah. If I ever watch a trailer now, I tag you in it.
I don't remember seeing the tag in it. But no, I haven't watched it. But again, Mark Hamill, we know is a great voice actor, so that would probably pique my interest.
Well, I think people were a bit worried because Brad Dourif was so iconic in the role, but when Mark Hamill was cast, everyone sort of shut up and thought, "Oh, yeah, that'll probably be quite good." So, sticking to the kind of horror element, there was the Swamp Thing trailer, which is going to be on DC Universe. So, I wondered what you guys thought of that trailer. And Adam, do you want to go first? Because you're the fellow comic book nerd like me.
That I watched, and I really, really liked it. And again, given my disposition of generally not caring about horror one way or the other, I've read some of the Alan Moore Swamp Thing comics, but most of my experience comes from Scott Snyder's New 52 Swamp Thing.
Okay.
And I really, really love that. And I think, again, the reason I gravitate towards somebody like Swamp Thing is because it has that classical Universal monster kind of feel to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And yes, you know, it looks like it has this trailer has some jump scares in it, or you know, allusions to scenes that have jump scares in it. But it's a lot of more body horror by the way it looked to me. And so yeah, just the atmosphere, the lighting, the way Swamp Thing looked.
It looks great, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I just hope that, because I know they cut the episode order from 13 down to 10, so I hope that this gets enough views in terms of the show, so that if it's received well, that they'll consider doing a second season and beyond. Because I think that's the only thing that's concerning me, is the fact that they're having these sort of production issues, and they're having to cut down the episode order from 13 to 10.
Yeah, that was a bit strange, wasn't it? Because they've decided they're going to end it, on like 10 episodes or something?
Yeah, it was supposed to be 13, but they chopped.
It actually made me mostly worried for DC Universe, but,
well,
you know, with what's going to happen with that. But maybe something like Titans and
here's what I...
Patrol and that could go. Sorry, anyway, yeah.
Here's what I understand about what's going on with DC Universe. Eventually, because Warner Brothers is coming up with their own streaming service. So what's going to happen is, at least from what I've been hearing and what I've been told, is that they are going to fold DC Universe into the content. So Titans and Doom Patrol and potentially Swamp Thing and so on and so forth. They're going to fold that you know, live action content into the Warner Media app. So it'll be a section on the Warner Media streaming service. DC Universe, from what I understand, will continue to exist as a comics app. So that's so don't worry about the content per se, because that'll just get shifted over. Not that we'll get to see it, because...
Do you think they'll have like a DC Universe section in there?
Exactly, yeah.
That's
how it's being explained to me.
That sounds good to me. Makes logical sense.
Not that you or I or Dan will get to see it, because, you know, America first with this, apparently, with this DC and Warner Brothers stuff. But yeah. That's what I've been told on that front. So,
cool. Dan, what did you think of the trailer?
I think my issue with the trailer was, when I went in, I think I may be thinking of, was there like a TV movie or a really cheaply made movie?
Yeah, there was two.
Years ago. So I think I kind of were expecting a bit of that, which, if I remember rightly, wasn't very horror.
The first one kind of is a bit, but it's not very comic booky. Yeah.
I think I just wasn't expecting it. It seems more like a horror movie than. But I know, like I said on Twitter, that that Swamp Thing does start off into a bad guy, and then doesn't John Constantine kind of turn him around, or something like that?
No idea.
Because he comes out of John Constantine comics, doesn't he?
He does.
About that?
Yeah, originally he did. Yeah. So I don't know if it was like a misunderstood rivalry at first, or maybe like they didn't know what each other's like motives were, and then. So I don't know necessarily if one was bad.
I don't know enough about it, but I wasn't expecting it to be so horror. But looking at it as a horror, it looks quite good, if that makes sense.
See, I reckon the trailer's very misleading. I don't think it's going to be that horror. Because it's like, you could watch a trailer for Supernatural and think it's really scary, and sometimes it kind of is, but then it isn't really when you watch it. So I think it's going to be a little bit like that sort of thing. So we're both on board for that. The last bit of news I wanted to touch on was there was the trailer for Krypton Season 2. And did you both watch that?
I definitely did. On my end, yeah.
I hope Dan tagged him in it.
I remember seeing something. I can't really remember it.
Dan was just in a mood that day. He's like, screw you and all these trailers you're tagging me, and I'm not watching anything.
Yeah, I did see it actually, because I remember after season 1, I thought I enjoyed that, but I don't know if I'd watch season 2. But then I stopped after season 2 and thought I might have to watch it.
Yeah, no question about it. I'm watching that. From my perspective, I think it was one of the best DC shows on the air when it was aired.
Agreed.
Could be the best, and it just like one of my favorite parts of Man of Steel was the Krypton sequence, the 20 minutes or 15, whatever it was. And so it's not exactly the same Krypton, but a lot of the sci-fi elements are there, carry over, and so just to see an exploration of that world, even though it's different universe, intrigues me, and I just I loved it. To me, it was often when you think of okay, they're going to do a Batman show or a Superman show without the main character, how's that going to come off? But this one, I was so invested in Segel and Adam Strange and what's her name, who could be Superman's grandmother, who was on the Multiverse Wives list. Wallace Day, I think her name is, the actress.
Yeah.
I was invested in all these characters, and then with that ending, with the tease of Doomsday, but also with Zod, I think. And by the way, that Zod, the actor that played him, was fantastic. Especially when he went full Zod, if you know what I mean. So
when he actually gave the line, it was like Neil.
Yeah,
Zod.
I was like, all right, I'm in. It's like, all right. The only concern the only reservation I had about season 1 was, can we put Adam Strange in his costume? Like, let's just embrace it and go. But season 2, I mean, they teased. We're actually going to see Doomsday in motion, which is cool. Brainiac is back, and that was, to me, the best live action Brainiac I've ever seen.
He looked movie quality as well, I think.
God. For sure. And then they've now done Lobo, and that just he looks phenomenal. So I'm curious to see how they've done him well, and it's just like, in the absence of a Superman movie, this is a nice what's the word I'm looking for? A nice
like a taste.
Yes, it's a nice appetizer while we wait for the full meal, which who knows when the hell we're gonna get that, but that's neither here.
We don't even know who's gonna be playing him.
Yeah, exactly. The next time we see Superman, whether it's with a head or without his head, this is a nice holdover. So I'm in for season 2, 100%.
Yeah, I think I just agree with everything you've just said, really. I don't think I can top it, so I can't wait. I mean, Krypton season 1 for me was my favourite comic book show last year, so I'm massively on board for it and I can't wait.
Yeah.
Is that the same for you, Dan? You look forward to
it? Yeah, probably nowhere near as much as you guys. It's kind of like, I'll watch it.
Alright, miserable git.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I'm not as into.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Superman and these. It was good season 1, yeah, but I just always think they just feel like. I suppose it's just because it's TV, and I want that little bit more in terms of production value. I think. I mean, it's pretty good, to be fair. He's Krypton.
He's waiting.
You know what I mean?
You're waiting for the full-fledged Batman show. That's what you're waiting.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Well, Dan,
I'm hoping. Sorry, I was just going to say I'm hoping, like, when they do Disney Plus and they're doing these Loki series, I'll be interested to see what the production values are on that.
Well, from what I heard, they got $100 million budget per.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking.
And is that like Game of Thrones money?
Yeah, you've got to think Krypton's not going to have anything, but that's what I mean. I want that step up kind of thing.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, and Disney's got money coming out of every.
Yeah.
But this is different because this is a show made by Sci-Fi for Warner Brothers DC, and it's not DC making it for throwing the money in. Yeah.
Like I said, don't get me wrong, it looks really good, and that's one of the reasons I watched it, because I thought the production values looked really good.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think there were just some little bits where kind of seemed like they kept what they showed you want enough. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of like you knew. I don't mean just like they're in a studio, but there's probably nothing around that street corner, or do little things like They kind of kept
because
it
it was
into
a set.
section.
See, I really like television sets, so I think it part charm for me.
Yeah, I will give them credit for the fact that, given the fact that yes, they're on sets because Krypton is a fictional place.
Yeah.
Spoilers for anybody who thought it was real.
What?
Well, listen, after Black Panther came out, there were people tweeting about Wakanda like it was a real place. So I just want to clarify that Krypton is fictional. But what I will give them credit for is their sets. The sets of Krypton looked fantastic for a TV show.
Did, yeah.
Looked fantastic. So
that's what I mean. It did look really good.
Yeah. But Steven, did you tell Dan that, because I know both of you guys watch Titans, did you tell Dan that Bruce Wayne is actually going to physically show up on?
Yeah, did we not mention that? I think we mentioned that in our last podcast, actually.
Did I? Okay.
I think
Ian Glenn.
I think you actually...
Yeah.
Me, I'd already found out about it.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Really
I think I told you and you already knew, didn't you?
Yeah. I'm
looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's going to be cool.
Right, so before we move on to the topic of discussion, I did a 5-day poll on what was everyone's favourite Avengers movie pre the new one. And the obvious choice is just for let people know, even though they know what they are. There was the first Avengers, which over here was called Avengers Assemble, which in America it was called was it called the Avengers in Canada as well, Adam?
It was just the Avengers, yeah.
Yeah, it was because we had this British TV show over here called The Avengers in like the 70s or something, and I think that there was like a rights issue, so that's called.
They didn't want brand confusion.
Yeah. And maybe it was for older fans, because you can imagine some old person going to see it thinking it was the Avengers, the old classic British show. Then they're like, "What the hell is this?"
Who are these guys in masks? What the hell?
They did an Avengers movie, didn't they?
There was one in like that. Sean Connery was in it, and it was a big flop.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone was really going to get confused.
No, but I think there was like a rights issue where they would have had to have paid some money out. So I think that's why they called it Avengers Assemble. So Avengers Assemble, Age of Ultron, and Infinity War. So before I read the poll results, guys, what is your favourite of those three?
I can't remember which one I voted for, but because I remember voting in the poll. But I'm gonna say, it might change after we review this with the review we're doing. But going into Endgame, it was still the first Avengers movie. Avengers Assemble. I'll call it what you guys call it.
Yeah.
Which were the three you said?
Avengers Assemble, Age of Ultron, Infinity War. They're the only Avengers movies.
Adam, you think the first Avengers was better than Infinity War?
Not necessarily better, but there's the idea of seeing the core six or whatever it is together.
I get what you're saying.
In the MCU for the first time.
I think the first Avengers works better as a standalone than Infinity War does.
Yeah, I'll give it that. Yeah.
You need to have previous knowledge of the previous films to watch and enjoy Infinity War.
And that's where the difference comes from. But in terms of spectacle and grandiose storytelling, I think obviously Infinity War is the step up. But just
definitely. So Dan, what is yours? Infinity War then, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. When I left the cinema, I hadn't seen anything anywhere near as good as that. I felt I was just absolutely blown away. I couldn't believe what was happening in the movie. Yeah, just I think I give it a 9.5 out of 10, didn't I?
I don't remember.
You can't really.
I think I give it a 9.
Much better than that for me. Just I've never seen a movie like it.
See, the thing is, I think it depends what you want in a movie, because I think if you want all spectacle, then I can see why you'd say that about Infinity War. But I think if you're on about in terms of like dramatic, not that you want dramatic and stuff, but like a dramatic, like somebody basically would say, because you always get like the Dark Knight argument, don't you? Is it as good as the Dark Knight and stuff? Whereas on an epic scale,
it's different though, isn't it?
Yeah,
they're two different.
Yeah, on an epic scale, they're completely two different films. But I can understand if someone won't like Infinity War because I think it's too spectacle.
I would never compare Nolan's trilogy though. In a sense, you could even say, even though it is a comic book movie, that it's not, because it's not made like a comic book movie.
No. But I'm just trying to make like a comparison to something else to say how people feel about movies. So, so for me, I went for Infinity War as well, because I think, but I've got the previous knowledge to enjoy like the character moments and understand the emotions and everything. So for me, I voted Infinity War, and Infinity War won the poll, unsurprisingly, with 56%. The second place was Avengers Assemble with 30%, and in last, which wasn't a shock to me, was Age of Ultron. Which weirdly, I was watching Age of Ultron again today for the first time in a long time, and I actually were enjoying it a bit more than the.
Yeah, I did the same thing, and I enjoyed it. Like, yeah, I mean, does it have its problems? Yes. Is it as good as the first one or the one since? No, but it's still a really solid film, I think.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Right then, I guess we can move into topic of discussion. So we're here to talk about End Game, which we've all seen yesterday and today. So
I think the whole world's seen it at this point.
Well, I was just going to say it's already on track to make $1 billion in its first weekend, which is absolutely incredible. I hope it beats Avatar.
I think it made. Didn't it make $60 million in previews? So they'll all go into opening day.
So that's going to make $1 billion. So that's going to make. Think about this. That's going to make $1 billion in 3 days. Meanwhile, world hunger still is the thing.
Well, if you want to go into that, Adam, we can go into the Notre Dame thing and why is everyone giving money to rebuild a building when they could give it to poor?
Exactly.
To actually eat some food.
Yeah. No, I'm not criticizing the movie. I'm just saying it's
amazing.
No. It's amazing how I'm glad the movie's making the money for in terms of.
It's the work. Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's just crazy world we're living in.
It's just insanity when you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know what you said. I wasn't accusing you of anything there. Sorry.
I totally get your argument with the building. I mean, let's put money to food. That would be my argument as well. Let's give money so people can eat.
Yeah. So I don't know who wants to go first, but let's give a quick non-spoiler review night. Don't go into just basically. You can even do a sentence or whatever.
I'll give a quick review because I feel that Adam will go into more detail and do it a lot better than me as usual. So I'll let him take that after me. Do you know when you go to see a movie and you're really looking forward to it and everyone's hyped it up and it's not quite as good as you think it is?
Yeah.
Well, that's all. I didn't feel that with this. It was absolutely awesome. I've been waiting to do that all day. I'll tell you how good I thought it was. I came home and I thought I can't watch anything else. I literally sat on the sofa and I've watched YouTube videos all day of reviews of it, videos of the casting interviews, doing silly little things and things like that. Just that's all I've watched since I got home. All I've done, just sat on the sofa. Just still sat here thinking, I'll go into that a bit later. That's going to be a bit of a spoiler, but I just couldn't get over what I just watched. It a bit like I felt after Infinity War, but maybe even more so. Okay. I just felt like, wow, I've just seen something that's, ended something that's been going for 11 years, is it now? And they finally took it to
the next month it'll be 11, yeah.
So it finally came to the closing chapter, and not closing in terms of there's not going to be more Marvel movies, but it's a closing chapter at this point. And you just thought, when you think sometimes, you see other eras and you think, oh, I wish I were, still in 80s because you like talk movies and stuff. I am just so glad right now to be in the generation that I am at, so I've been able to watch this because I do not feel we will see this ever again. What Marvel have built now in a cinematic universe like that, there's just no way I think we'll see it like that. So that's my feelings on it.
Yeah, Adam.
Yeah, I was concerned in the sense that okay, how are they gonna follow up Infinity War? Like how are they gonna? Because if you think about it, Infinity War was essentially a part one, and this was the cap off of that. So to me, how this went off would unfortunately or fortunately affect my thoughts on Infinity War, and I had serious doubt because they're in the lead up they're saying this is the finale to this portion of the story, and so to me I was how do you wrap up a storyline that's been seeping through 21 movies, and by God. They did it, and it's. I'm not gonna say flawless because it's not there's minor quibbles that I have, but it's damn near a perfect I don't want to say, I'm not going to say conclusion. A perfect finale. I view the MCU, which means Marvel Cinematic Universe, for those that aren't sure what that means. Not that I'm saying there's anybody that, not that I'm insulting anybody that doesn't know it. I'm just clarifying. But I view the MCU as basically a over budget, extravagant TV series, and so, and that's not a disparaging remark on the MCU, but so I look at Endgame as a season finale, and if you look at it in that respect, that's one of the best friggin' season finales I've ever seen in my life. Plain and simple. Every character, I think, especially the core Avengers, got things came full circle, and they got a fantastic conclusion to their individual story arcs.
Cool. Shall I go now?
That's my generality. Yeah. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, my quick review would be a satisfying conclusion to an epic journey. Probably the way I would describe it. I don't think it's a perfect movie, and I might have bigger problems than some of you guys have that I think actually may come up for a lot of people on rewatches. But obviously, when you watch a film in a bubble, it's a bit different in it when you get to sit back and watch it at home and take everything. I mean, sometimes it still meets your expectations that it met before, and sometimes it doesn't. So for me, it was a very satisfying conclusion, and while I don't think it was as good as Infinity War, I think it was pretty much more emotional, and the end of it didn't make me cry, but it made me think, like, what, I've just viewed all that, if that makes sense.
Spoiler review.
Well, I
know you're not saying what's happening, but yeah, you sort of.
Well, I've not spoiled anything because people online have been saying how emotional it is since I've been on spoiler reviews. So I could be talking about anything, couldn't I? So yeah, for me it was a satisfying conclusion. I had some problems with it, which I'll get into when we go to spoilers, and I think it was pretty damn good. So yeah. Right then, so I think we should just go into spoilers, and being the people we are, we like to do negatives first. So I might actually just start with my negatives, if that's okay.
Are you not thinking of going through the movie and the specific points of the movie and then talking about it?
See, I don't think I can because of the way the movie's structured, and I could actually get into that one of my dislikes a little bit. So I think maybe we should just go through it best we can. But I think we should just maybe get dislikes out of the way, and then we can talk about specifics when we go into his likes and just points. That makes sense?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of my things is, and I don't know if you guys are going to agree, but I think you could have shaved about 20 minutes out of this movie. And
I would say there was a point where I thought this is a little slow, this bit, but I
think that was at the start. And I also think the Ant-Man stuff, where the Ant-Man came back and explained, the time travel for the quantum realm, thought they could have got through that a little bit quicker. And again, I'm not complaining because 3 hours absolutely flew by, but I actually went to I went to the toilet once during this, which was an absolute big surprise to me. so I
went 4 times. Once before, once after, and twice in movie.
Well, I think this is what we're saying here is that I have the best bladder on this podcast because I didn't move at all.
Well, I did go.
I think
once
it's psychological
before,
with us too, though.
Yeah.
Definitely psychological because you think I don't want to go, and suddenly I did it twice. And I'm like, I don't usually. Even I'm better than that, maybe once in a movie these days, but this time twice, and I thought this is definitely psychological that I don't want to go.
The point I went as well was quite early on in the film, which again is a miracle that I lasted like a few hours without peeing. But I was just at a point, I remember, and I went to the toilet and I didn't rush. And the girl behind the counter who was serving popcorn says to me, "Oh, hurry up, you're going to miss it." And I just went to her, "Well, nothing's happening yet anyway." So I went to the toilet, came back, and I didn't feel like I missed anything. So
I did that twice, and I don't think I missed out, to be honest.
No, which totally goes against the Russo saying I want a good time to pee, because I can think there's quite a few.
The point, obviously, because we're going into spoilers now, the only bit I missed that I probably would have said that wasn't a great time to go to the toilet was I missed the rat jump on the thing, so that's how Ant-Man got out, but my wife just told me, and I thought, It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. If you'd have missed like something in the main fight, you probably would have been.
Yeah, the other bit was where Thanos was torturing. I always forget her name. Karen Gillan's character.
Go on, Adam.
Damn it! Why? See, now I'm blanking.
Right, Gamora's the green one.
Gamora's Zoe Saldana. Yeah.
Yeah.
What in the hell is? Don't make me go to IMDb. I'm going to go to IMDb.
I'm going to IMDb now. I meant to get it up beforehand because I do this. It's psychological.
What is her name? Jesus.
If you know her name, folks.
Nebula.
Nebula. Yeah. I'm getting cast list up now.
Her
just in
character.
Case.
And I felt like with that, I saw him start. I knew what he was doing, and I came back, and no, it really happened at that point. So I'm either quick or the scene was a little
and I
slow.
think you probably could have missed that bit really. Because it wasn't nothing mega important was happening. I mean, it was to the plot, but someone could just tell you what he was doing to her. So,
well, first time I came back from the toilet, I got back and my son went and ate toilet, and I'm like, I am not moving again. Your mum can take you.
So that's one of my. Have you guys got any dislikes? I've got a little bit of a list, and don't take it the wrong way, but like with me having a list of dislikes, but the things that just bothered me in the film, so I've just thought I better bring them up.
I couldn't think of anything at all that I didn't like in the movie, so you just count me out of this bit.
The only thing that really sort of I thought went on too long was the Thor bit when Hulk and Rocket go to New Asgard to get Thor. And he's having a hard time. I mean, I guess I have to explain why he's having a hard time. So basically, the film starts. The leftover Avengers track down Thanos. They question him. Captain Marvel's there, and she helps beat the crap out of him.
Yeah.
So she's holding him. Captain America's questioning him. He's being kind of a pompous smartass. And then Thor decides, well, screw it. I'm chopping this guy's head off with an axe, which he does. And then Thor is very sort of shocked that he went that far, and so then that sort of that moment sort of kind of caused Thor to go into almost like PTSD in regards to Thanos. So they go and track him down, and he's basically regressed into full stress eating, and he's got a pot belly. He's playing video games with.
That was funny. What's
the guy's name? What's
Korg.
the guy's name? Korg. Which that guy makes me laugh.
We couldn't remember Nebula, but remembered Korg.
Go figure.
More memorable.
But
just sorry, Adam, just to interrupt you, but just while you were talking about that, were you shocked that what happened to Thanos early in the movie? Because I was just sat there thinking,
for sure.
What the hell is going on?
Where
does this movie go from here? I didn't have a clue what was happening.
I knew there were going to be a time travel aspect, so I knew where it was going to go.
My thought was, damn, Marvel grew up here, because I think that's the most violent thing. That's the most violent thing I've seen in one of these movies.
Yeah, there were a few bits in this, to be fair.
Yeah, so that was my thought. But
there's somebody bleeding from the throat, and they actually showed you the blood, and I'm like, this is a 12A. How are they getting away with this?
And don't get me wrong, the parts with Thor were funny, with him being overweight and being a drunkard now, and the other characters making jokes about like there's one moment in the film where Thor's like, he's sort of saying, I should wield the Infinity Stones because what do you think is running through my veins, and then I think it's War Machine that says cheese whiz. That kind of stuff. So it was funny. I just think that the constant joking about it dragged on a little too long. But aside from that, I think that was my only issue with this.
Right. My second note says Fat Thor was funny but went too far.
Yeah. Okay. So there. And
I think in the main event, shall we call it, sticking to our wrestling terms from our wrestling podcast, way back Wrestling Mania.
Yeah. Nice plug. That was good. Well done.
I would say based on that I can understand if there's Thor fans out there that didn't like what they did to the character, but and then the other thing I would also mention is there was a bit where he has an emotional moment, and Marvel did their Marvel thing where they cracked a joke, and I laughed. But at the same time, I thought they could have let that go. Then they could have.
That's
really
the kind of stuff I think on rewatches will grate people. That kind of thing.
You're talking about this.
I mean, it's the Marvel. That's what Marvel. That's what Marvel do, and you're kind of expecting that. And I'm not saying it's necessarily bad, but I just that was the only moment when I thought they should have let that go a little bit and really dug into how he's feeling, because he's done something he wouldn't ever do. He's killed somebody.
See, I was just gonna say, Fat Thor for me went a bit too far, because in the finale when he was fighting Thanos, I thought he should have got more serious than he got. Because it was a bit, he did an Infinity War, didn't he? When he got really serious.
I presumed they did Fat Thor because at the end of Infinity War, he looks like he could kick Thanos' ass. He looks so powerful.
No, I'm not on about the fact that he was
I know, but I'm just covering that point that I felt they did the fat thing and changed his emotions, so when it came to the end fight, that he just didn't go in and kick Thor's ass, because they couldn't afford to do that, really.
But I don't think he had to go in and kick his ass, but I think he had to go in and be a bit more serious.
Well, I thought he
was
did.
Trying to kick his ass.
He had his two.
Yeah, but he did, but he was still cracking jokes, Dan. That's what I was saying, and I think at that point, that's when the jokes should have stopped.
Yeah, Thor.
I just think that's Marvel. And that's what you get.
Yeah, but they didn't do it. They didn't do it in Infinity War when he came in to kick his ass.
But also you got to remember that the two, just like.
I mean, Dan getting touchy here.
No. My thing is like when they gave him that emotional moment with his mother.
That was great.
I was there, but I was there. Like I have a tradition where the first time I watch these movies, I watch them with my mother, because she took me to see Batman '89. That was the first movie I ever saw that I remember seeing, and so it's kind of a tradition that every superhero movie, before I go with the guys or whatever, I go with her, and so. Being there with your mother and watching Thor go through that emotional moment was great, but then there's a joke being cracked. Like there are certain times, and I get that's Marvel's formula to break up the tension with the joke, and that's fine. That's a good thing to do, especially in a movie like Infinity, like Endgame, where there's tons of like emotional things going on.
Yeah.
But I think there's a time when to put the joke in, and there's a time to know when. Okay. We're not putting the joke in here. Yeah. And that was one of the times where the joke shouldn't have been there. But
and comparatively, I mean, I'm not comparing DC to Marvel, but in Shazam, they did the jokes, but I didn't think they ever did the jokes at the wrong time in Shazam.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think whereas Marvel, I'm not saying they do it in every film, because
I think going back to what you said about Infinity War, I think they got that right then.
Oh, they got
it. Yeah, I think in this they kind of went at times they got it a little bit wrong, but they were allowed to make mistakes. They're only human like us out there.
And I gotta say, in Infinity War, they really rehabilitated Thor for me in that end moment, because spoilers for anybody. Can I just go off on a little bit of a diatribe here?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah.
Okay, so
put your feet up, Dan.
The Thor movies are incredibly frustrating for me, because it's a great character. I've read a lot of cool runs of this comic book. The only one of the Thor movies that I really enjoy, even though it's problematic, is the first Thor.
Love the first Thor.
The second one is a steaming pile of. Can I say the S word? Can I say shit?
Yeah, go for it.
You just did.
You just said it.
It's a steaming pile of crap. Okay.
Yeah,
I might just put us on that thing where we can just swear, because then I don't have to cut any out.
Well, the S word is as tame as
Ryan got beeped out last episode.
Yeah, you said the P word.
Yeah. I remember that one. Yeah. The Ragnarok, to me, I loved where it was going. The only thing was that to me, Ragnarok. I mean, the definition of, the idea of Ragnarok is basically hell coming to where happening on Asgard, right? And it was too, filled with jokes, and that's what takes away from it. Everybody loves Ragnarok, and
I love Ragnarok.
And I'm sitting here thinking, it's a parody of the Thor franchise. It's not, and it's supposed to be the most epic. So I was one of the few that, while it was better than 2, I mean, that's not saying much. That's like saying, okay, what would you rather have?
I'm under the impression
vomiting or chronic diarrhea. Which one's better? So so the first Thor is my favorite, but Infinity War at the end, I'm like, okay, finally this is the Thor that I expected, and then they kind of regressed him. Even though I found the comedy funny, they definitely regressed the character.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
Well, Thor Ragnarok though, just going back to that, I think it's got a bit of a mixed review because I'm one of the people who absolutely loved it. I thought it was brilliant.
I think it's
really,
a bit
really
of a bit of a Marmite film.
Yeah, I think
some people hate.
I think Thor fans are happy with Thor Ragnarok.
Well, I think if you're a fan of like serious Thor, I can totally understand why you don't like Ragnarok. But for me, I absolutely love it. I think it's really funny, but.
Don't get me wrong. The action and the Ragnarok quote unquote portions of it are great. I just think it devolves to. It's like, well, Guardians was really successful. Let's imbue some of that into Ragnarok, but I just don't find for what that story was trying to tell. The story it was trying to tell. I don't think the comedy worked, but there are elements of it that I like. I thought Hela was great. Korg. The moments of comedy, I did like came from Korg.
Yeah.
Anytime you put Loki and Thor together, it's cool. And that first fight with Hulk and Thor in the arena was fantastic. But then they devolved Hulk into a joking buffoon. But the first Thor was my favorite, and I thought, okay. Infinity War's got now the good mix of there's some humor there, but he's still badass Thor, right? And then to me, again, they devolved him, and that's the only character that I thought that Fat Thor was funny, and I understood why he had devolved to that point, given to what he had just done, but I still think it's partly a regression.
Yeah, I agree. Well, a good segue, because Ragnarok was Professor Hulk for me. He's one of my negatives. I mean, I liked him and he was funny and stuff, but again, I'm like, I just don't get what they're doing with him. That's not the Hulk to me as a Hulk fan. I feel like he's steadily becoming. I think he's been steadily becoming more and more of a joke in these films, to be honest. And it's almost like he's pretty much just turning into Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
And in this, it was just a green Mark Ruffalo. So while bits of it made me laugh, like the bit where he's like, go smash some stuff up and he didn't want to, that was hilarious and stuff. But I'm like, what is this? Why are you doing this? There's no reason he couldn't have been Banner. Because for me as well, like in Infinity War, when Thanos kicked Hulk's ass, I thought the Hulk was going to get his revenge in this film, and I was waiting for it, and it never came.
Yeah.
He did next to nothing in this film.
Yeah, he did nothing, did he? He basically destroys his arm.
Like
don't get the bit with Ant-Man was funny. Wait a minute, the bit with Ant-Man was funny.
It turned Ant-Man into a baby. He did something.
Yeah, that was funny. That was funny. Yeah, that was a great scene. I loved that. But at the same time, I'm like, who is this? This is meant to be the Hulk. Do you know what I mean? And for me now, I don't feel like they can ever take the Hulk back to being, the Incredible Hulk, basically.
Well, obviously, how he ends, I think that's got to be the end of the Hulk, can't it? He's so damaged that I can't see how you can.
Well, he could still hold up that bloody pillar, couldn't he? Of whatever it was, concrete.
Well, yeah.
Well, I think they'll still use him in some way now. But my thing is, like, I'm okay with him looking more like Mark Ruffalo, because when he ripped off his shirt and sort of, we were in that the Avengers Assemble redo scene, right? Where you see him in that time period. I mean, so the minute when he ripped off his shirt, kind of Hulk Hogan style, again, shameless plug for our podcast.
Way about WrestleMania.
Yeah. So when he did that, I'm like, okay, now we're gonna get the Hulk. And so I have no issue with him looking more like Mark Ruffalo, like this sort of Banner Hulk hybrid, the smarter Hulk, if you will. I have no issue with that. My issue again is ever since I think it was after the second Avengers film. Ever since Ultron, Hulk has become comic relief.
Yeah.
And that is
Ragnarok. He kind of was in the first Avengers in some scenes, but it was balanced well.
Yeah, but that was more Ruffalo than anything. Whereas when he was Hulk, he was still bad. Like, he fought Thor. That was a badass scene. There was no joking around there.
Yeah, and they did that funny thing where he punched him, didn't he? In Avengers. That's what I mean. But they balanced it well.
Yeah, but there's
in
funny.
The first Avengers.
But there's funny and still making him a badass.
Yeah,
Here,
exactly. Yeah,
it's fun. It's let's ha 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 at the Hulk, and nobody takes him serious. Like he's taking selfies with kids. This is the Hulk, for God's sake.
For me, the only thing you can do with the Hulk now is if you do some sort of prequel.
No, here's what I'd like them to do with the Hulk. I'd like them to take. Remember a couple of years ago there was talk about ABC, Guillermo del Toro doing a live action series.
Yeah.
Okay, well, forget about ABC, but now they have the Disney streaming service. For the love of God, give it $100 million. Can we give me the Hulk? Like, see, and again, I blame Universal. This is ridiculous that they can't do a solo movie because they don't want to play ball with Marvel like Sony does, right? So whatever. But here's my hope is this: Marvel has control of the X-Men right now, or they're gonna get control of the X-Men.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Guess how Wolverine was introduced into the
I said I think they should do that as well.
A team up with the Hulk. It was in an issue of the Incredible Hulk. So what I'm proposing is, enough for the now forget about this comedy bullshit, BS. I was almost going to say it again. Forget about this comedy BS. I want to see to introduce Wolverine. Don't call it this because call it whatever you want. But basically, Incredible Hulk versus Wolverine, and then you can subtitle it Dawn of Mutants or whatever you want.
Well, the animated film Hulk vs. Wolverine was great.
Yeah. So that's what. But think about it logically for a second. You have Mark Ruffalo and the character of the Hulk, which, regardless of whether we think he's too comedic or not, people have finally come around to enjoying, and that's ever since the first Avengers movie, I think.
Yeah.
So people are on board with him now, right? So now you have a new guy coming in as Wolverine. Let's take the pressure off whoever this poor SOB, because I feel sorry for him, has to take over Hugh Jackman. Let's take the pressure off this guy and put him with the Hulk. That movie, and this is going to piss off BBS fans, Hulk versus Wolverine is $1 billion movie. Under the MCU umbrella is $1 billion.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down.
100%.
And that's what should be done. And after you do that, dovetail him off into his own Disney Plus 5 or 6 episode series. That's what I would do.
So I'll just quickly run from my other dislikes then. I think Nick Fury should have been in film more, which is more of a nitpick because I thought he literally popped up at ending for a cameo.
It's a nitpick, if you want. Nitpick.
Yeah. I'm going to save one of them till near the end because I think we can't talk about that till we talk about Captain America.
Yeah.
And this is going to be really controversial actually. And I hadn't seen Captain Marvel, but I thought she was shoehorned into this film, and I just do not like Brie Larson as that character. She just doesn't sell me on her at all.
I totally disagree with you, and I think you need to watch Captain Marvel.
No, because
I think she's
right. Listen, let me explain why. I think her delivery is poor when she delivers the line. I just don't buy what she says at all. Secondly, this film she's clearly shoehorned into it. Right, she's in it for the beginning for like 5 minutes. Conveniently picks up Tony Stark. Right, fair enough. I can buy that. Then she's like, "Oh, you're not going to see me for a while." Then she literally pops back at the end for 5 minutes.
I think because she's a new character, they couldn't bring her into it too much, and she's going to be more involved in the next.
Yeah, phase. But apparently the Russos didn't want to put her in it in the first place, and they got told the actor. So that to me says that she wasn't going to be in it anyway, so don't put her in it.
I do think you need to watch.
I think I do, but at the same time, Dan, if I watch this film and I don't buy her performance, I don't think a solo film is going to change my mind on that.
No, that's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true though, because look, here's what I'll say. I agree with you that she was. I expected her after seeing Captain Marvel, which I think I'm on the same level as Dan in terms of that film. After seeing Captain Marvel, I thought she was going to have a much more substantial role in this film. So I will agree that she has, by comparison to everybody else, almost next to nothing to do. And I expected more from her in the film. Having said that, and again, given that I've seen Captain Marvel, I don't blame what you're describing as poor delivery or whatever on her. That's what was written for her. Like, that's the material she was given. Like, you could, and I've said this with another franchise. You put Christian Bale and Batman and Robin, it's still going to be a pile of crap. I mean, so it doesn't matter. Like, they can only do so much with what they're given, and so I think it's a scenario of she wasn't given much. She was probably like if you're what you're saying is true, that the Russo brothers didn't want her in there. She was shoehorned, and you could kind of see that. But again, I don't blame that. I don't. I think she's going to be a pillar of whatever the next Avengers team looks like. She's going to be at the forefront. And again, having seen Captain Marvel, I'm totally on board with her. When she's given the proper material. Like I thought she was going to be the one to come in and have more of a hand in taking out Thanos.
She just basically helped out, didn't she? Really?
Well, she held him down basically.
While Iron Man got his breath back.
And she destroys his ship because they're struggling out there. At that point,
there is that bit. Yeah, but I just
that was her best. That was her best part of the film.
I quite liked the idea of her. She was there, obviously she had to be there, but she doesn't belong to her. She's basically Green Lantern. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I agree.
She's the Green Lantern of the Marvel universe. So it's not about her just being on Earth. She's got to protect. And she said it's happening everywhere else. So you've got to expect her to go off the planet. But if it's so bad, you've got to expect her to come back as well. So I get what you're saying about being shoehorned in, but I didn't see it like that personally.
Fair enough.
I just feel that I think, given what this thing was trying to be, which was a sort of season finale for the core 6, 5. How many are there? Of the core 5, so I can get the number right. 5, 6. What is it?
6.
Okay. So given that this was a season finale for the original 6, having her come in more and take more of the spotlight would do a disservice to what they were trying to accomplish. So while I do agree that there was less of her than I thought, I can understand why that is.
Yeah. I kind of liked as well that she didn't just come in and kick Thanos' ass, because I think it would have felt cheap for her to just come out of nowhere and be this.
Yeah, it would have been like she's the new girl. Like, wow.
Where have you been? Kind of thing. So yeah, it's my two comments on it.
You might hear a baby crying in the background. Just sorry about that for a minute.
Is it Ant-Man? Is it Ant-Man?
It's Ant-Man. Yeah. So I think after that, because I have got one more dislike, but I'll bring it up later because it's connected to something else.
Okay.
Should we just talk about things we liked?
Yeah, because Dan doesn't have any dislikes from what he said.
I mean, I can agree with you on some things, because when people say something, because I don't notice a lot of stuff in movies. I used to, but now I kind of let things go, because in the Marvel movies, you're always expecting there's going to be some convenient thing happens, but it's not meant to be a serious, thriller or anything. So I don't mind that. You kind of expect that. Can I go first on likes? Because there's and I'm probably going to steal Bob's thunder.
Well, we'll just do one at a time in each or something, because
I just want to talk about what I felt was the best moment of the entire movie. When Thor's hammer spun towards Thor, went straight past him, and Captain America picked it up, and I was just like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
I'm just getting goosebumps thinking about it now. I was just like, "This is unbelievable."
That was incredible. I mean, it's an absolute, and again, it's an absolute payoff of the moment in
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron, when they're having that party and they're trying to, and you I mean, we all saw it. The table moved, right? So he would.
Yeah. And Thor's like, oh my god, he's gonna pick it
up. Yeah. And I love Thor's reaction. I knew it.
When I watched it in the cinema, at first I thought, Thor's just calling the hammer with his other hand.
That's
but
what
then
I thought.
Went to Captain America, and I was like, I think the moment Captain America took him on his own, that was the best moment of the entire movie for me.
I agree.
I mean, Cap's my favourite character, so he's going to get a bit.
I've watched I was going to say, I've watched a lot of reviews today, and I think that's genuinely considered by most people to be the best moment of the film.
When he was going back and forth with the hitting the shield with the hammer and smacking Thanos in the head, I'm like, oh, this is great. This is brilliant. Like I loved every second of that one-on-one fight.
See, and you know what I liked as well, because I mean, I was shocked as hell when he broke his shield, because I thought it was unbreakable. I'll be honest.
I thought he broke before.
No, not his shield. No.
Oh, all right.
Not in the MCU. But then there was that moment where his shield's broke, and he gets up, and he's like struggling to get up, and he just straps it on, and he's ready to go again. And I just thought that he saw Captain America.
Do you remember that that's one of Tony's visions as well? This is Captain America laid there with a broken shield.
Yes. Yeah.
In Age of Ultron.
Yes.
Yeah, when they're all up that.
This is what I'm talking about what they've built and why I'm so glad to have just lived through this moment because it's so big.
I think there's a lot of things in this film that when you actually think back over the previous movies, you can see that they were lining it up, and that's obviously one of them.
There's a lot of lines that people say to each other, like when Cap says to we'll talk about it later. When you're going to go into it anyway. I was just thinking what Cap says to Bucky, but you'll know what I mean by that.
Yeah. Well,
little things like that.
I really liked Captain America versus Captain America.
Oh yeah.
And I love when he said that I could do this all day, and he was like, "Oh, for God's sake!"
Yeah, he's like, "I know."
Yeah.
Because this is like the fourth time they're referencing it.
It was because he didn't have time, did he? He was just like, "I can't bother this. I ain't got time for this."
Didn't you think it was terrific as well? Are we still? Because you think there's going to be that fight scene again. You think they're just going to repeat it, and then he goes, "Hail Hydra." And they just give him it, and you're like, "Oh, that's just genius."
Well, you see, for me, I think the Winter Soldier is like the gold standard of the MCU as well.
He's
any call back to that, he's good to me.
I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna kick their butt in the elevator, because they were in Avengers Assemble. So I'm like 3 movies ahead of schedule. This is awesome, right?
That moment, in Winter Soldier, when he's like, before we get started, does anyone want to get out? And I'm like. That might be my favorite moment in the entire MCU, in that elevator scene in Winter Soldier. But I loved it. He just was like, "Hail Hydra."
And when he
go on, sorry, Adam.
Sorry, when he said that, there was a comic arc where a version of Captain America was part of had defected. I'm not going to.
That was definitely a callback to that.
Yeah, it was definitely a callback to that comic, and I'm like. Ooh, this is either going to piss people off. Like, how are the hardcore message boarders going to react to that line?
And don't forget, guys, it's America's ass.
That was funny.
Yeah, that was funny, yeah. Because you were going, this suit does nothing for your butt, Cap.
I was like, who asked you to look?
So, Adam, do you want to give us a moment or a scene that was like one of your favourites?
Well, I don't want to spoil the end right away, but what I'll say is just seeing two things in terms of Tony Stark before the Ultimate thing, but 2 early things that I noticed was when he gets rescued and he's back, and they're talking about I couldn't beat Thanos and the whole basically the where he lays it out all on the table and he's laying out his grievances. You can tell that this is really it's almost like, remember in Iron Man 3, one of the few things I liked about Iron Man 3. Well, actually, I liked the whole first half and then it derailed from there. But one of the things I really liked about Iron Man 3 was that he was going through, again, PTSD over the events of and that seemed to only intensify and come back around with what happened with Infinity War and then being stuck in space and nearly dying. And so there's still that leftover, resentment early on in this film between him and Captain America, because he's like, where were you? You weren't there. And so, and it all goes back, it all ties into Civil War. And why I like that they worked it out throughout the film was because had he just come down and said, hey, let's all hug and sit around a campfire and sing Kumbaya with marshmallows, I would have thought that was ridiculous. So I like that there was a little seed of still sort of animosity and resentment that they worked out throughout the course of this film. So I really appreciated that. I also love...
Can I just say something before you move on?
Yeah.
Seeing Tony as well, so frail, when he looked like he was on desktop, that was really... I thought it was quite upsetting to see. I didn't get teary or anything, but to see him like that was awful.
Was that CGI, or do you think they filmed that later and just made him lose a bit of weight?
I think it was probably CGI, mate.
It looks so good. I thought it was real.
Talk about CGI in terms of de-aging and aging people up in this. I thought they absolutely got it spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, Adam. What were you going to say after?
Yeah, and then the second part that I really loved with Tony was seeing him interact with his child. That's because in those moments he's gotten what he's wanted. Like if you think back again to Age of Ultron, yes, Thanos won, and there's a time period where half the world, the world is in a rebuilding stage. But even through all that destruction that Thanos caused, remember in Age of Ultron when he said, "All we're after is peace in our day." That was his whole thing. Well, for Tony, when he was with his daughter, I feel that he had that peace.
Yeah.
And that joy. So I think it was a coming full circle moment for him, and I really like seeing that. And just to go to your point about him looking frail and how that's hard to watch, because Iron Man since 2008 has been my favorite of these Avengers characters, that was hard to watch. And then there's the ending, which we'll get to later.
Yeah.
But yeah.
See, the moment that basically in the cinema there was quite a lot of emotions from the crowd and stuff, and the moment that I only got choked up at one scene, and I'm quite an emotional cat now. I've got 2 kids. I think I'm.
Yeah, so.
As we get older, we get more emotional.
Yeah, a bit of a
we can't blame it on allergies anymore.
But the moment that made me most emotional, it was one little scene. It was when Tony hugged Spider-Man.
Yeah, that was.
I don't know, and I think because basically, he always thought he was an annoying kid in that, but it was almost like a big brother wanted to look like the little brother and stuff, and
he's
annoyed crap out of him.
He's basically the catalyst, isn't he? Tony didn't want to get involved until he sees that picture of him.
And when Peter's doing what he normally does, which he normally annoys Tony, he's so relieved that he's back, and it's like what you're saying, ain't it? When someone does your head in and then they go, you just want them to come back, don't you, and do what they did when they did your head in. And it was like that, and when he cuddled him and stuff, I got really choked up.
It's like when your kids out there at night and it's really quiet, and you're like, I wish they'd just come and annoy me. You miss it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that for me, because everyone talks about emotional moments, that bit really got me, and
it's true.
I sort of had to kind of take a big gulp to get my composure back.
Yeah,
it was a great moment.
Yeah. So I suppose I better give another moment. Dan stole my moment because that was my favourite moment in the entire film.
I knew you were going to say it, but I thought it was mine, so I'm going to get it.
Jump in first.
That's why you wanted to go first. Yeah.
Dan.
It's like, brother, we got to get you guys in AEW and get a brother match.
Forget the Hardy Boys. It's the Marshall Brothers.
Did
you give a moment then?
No, I ain't give one yet.
Oh, okay. What's
a chance to. Well, I need to.
Well, you kind of did. You kind of did it with the Spider-Man moment.
I suppose I did. Yeah, but that was the moment that choked me up more than anything else. But I suppose I kind of did chime in on the Captain America moment as all dinner. So another thing, I just want to say, for me, the movie really kicked into gear when they started time traveling, and the bit in 1970 when Tony got to meet his dad. Got to see his dad again.
Yeah.
I like the parallel, and then Steve had his little journey in 1970 as well, and met back up at the end, didn't they? And it was memorable laugh though, because Peggy Carter in 1970 hasn't aged a day from the 40s. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
Dan, did you notice who was in the lift from Community?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I did notice.
It's funny because the Russos used to do Community, and they've had a few Community actors in. I
think he's in it, isn't he? At the beginning.
Who?
The
director,
the Chinese guy.
Oh
who
yeah,
plays
he was,
Chang. Yeah, he was in the beginning. He's
security
guy,
he
didn't he?
Didn't have any.
Yeah.
I think they must have cut. He must have had some lines that got cut for me. I wonder if they'll show up on the Blu-ray.
I don't know if they knew him from Community. They usually get people that they're like, you just want to do a quick scene. Like, oh yeah, I'll do it.
I reckon. I think they cut some lines out of that. I think there'll be a scene on Blu-ray. I'm convinced. But yeah, that was so the 1970 scene, and Michael Douglas de-age looked fantastic, and I just like the little talk that Tony had with his dad, basically, without giving away.
Nice.
It almost reminded me of Back to the Future, where he almost keeps giving away that he's his dad in that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, basically, the plot of this movie is Back to the Future too.
Yeah, I suppose it is. Yeah.
But
he don't try and sleep with his mum.
Well, I watched a review of something earlier, and it said they almost were like, well, it is Back to the Future too, so we'll just mention Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And just keep it like that.
There was that moment where Paul Rudd's character goes like, "They tell me Back to the Future's a load of crap," or something.
Yeah, that was funny. No, but just to speak to your again, another emotional moment was Tony. Too in that 1970s segment was what you were talking about, Tony, sort of me seeing his father, because I think up until this point, we've through the Iron Man films and then again Civil War, we see a little bit of resentment between Tony and his father. Whereas now, Tony being older and living through what he's lived through, and also being a father himself now.
Yeah.
Again, there's that coming full circle thing, right?
Yeah. I think he kind of gets it, doesn't he? Then. Yeah. He understands why his dad wasn't always around, and why he was like he was, and he was his dad, wasn't he? Because his dad basically admits that he cheated on his mom as well. Right.
So there's that understanding there now that he has, and then the moment where he goes to shake his hand and he hugs him. And of course, Marvel did their joke thing, but I laughed when he's like, that is one freaky, one weird looking beard.
I think they have done that in some of the movies though, where they're throwing a joke in that's kind of funny, but it's maintaining the emotional aspect of the scene. I think they did that a few times in this movie.
Definitely.
And I like the fact that the Jarvis actor was also the one that played Jarvis on the Peggy Carter show, which was nice.
I didn't watch that, so I didn't know that. So that's cool.
I watched it because of what's her name?
She's on my multiverse wives list.
Well, she's on one of mine. So as long as we're different Earths, we're okay. But
she might be a bigamist on one of her.
even that scene with her and when Cap sees her, like just the fact that first of all, you're right, she hasn't aged a day since 1940. But
can I? Oh, sorry, go on, Adam.
But just seeing the tear roll down Captain America's face, it's like, damn, they still haven't had that. They still haven't had that damn dance.
Yeah,
been 25 movies.
Can I ask a question before? It is one of my. It's not the moment I want to talk about, but it is one of my favorite moments in the movie. Was another Stan Lee cameo? Was that actually Stan Lee? Had he recorded that?
Yeah, he filmed it before he died, didn't he?
I thought he had, because I thought it didn't look like CGI, but some.
Do you know why I think that's like the perfect Stan Lee cameo to end it on, because they kind of made him younger.
Yeah, and also there was the enough said, and he used to use that in his comic books, evidently.
Yeah.
Right, I didn't know
that line. That's on the bumper of the car. So.
Yeah, I had a moment of sadness after that though, because I thought, this is probably going to be the last one. Yeah, I mean, there'll probably be stuff to him, like in Deadpool 2, where they had him on the painting on the wall and stuff. I think they might try and get things like that in.
I mean, I think it would have been nice had they saved the cameo, had they had one. I mean, saved is the wrong word, but if they had one left for Spider-Man, Far From Home, because that was his most recognizable character.
I think they said this was his last one, didn't they? Though?
Yeah, I know, but it would have been fitting.
Yeah,
had it been Spider-Man. But having said that, it was still nice to see, and nothing beats the which Steven hasn't seen. But nothing beats. I've never heard an audience cheer for an intro.
I know about that.
Oh dear, I wasn't going to mention it because I didn't know if you knew, and I thought I wasn't expecting that, and I thought it was an absolutely beautiful moment.
Here's my thing. I was getting in just the intro when seeing Stan Lee, I was getting emotional in that damn intro. I'm like, Jesus, we're already starting. Like, here it is. Well, what's going on here? But yeah, so I mean that was a nice. It's just it's still unbelievable that that's probably the last.
Yeah,
I feel like Stan Lee feels that part of your family, even though it's not.
Yeah.
As well, yeah.
What do you mean?
He was like everyone's granddad, wasn't he? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a damn shame. I mean, one day I'd love to do just what's your favourite Stan Lee cameo, on an episode one day.
Yeah.
He's had so many good ones. I mean, for me, two that stand out just off the top of my head are the Deadpool one where he's in the strip club.
Yeah, that was his favourite. That was his favorite.
What a surprise.
My favourite one is not a Marvel film. He is in Teen Titans Go, the movie, and it's absolutely sensational, that cameo.
When he's like, Marvel versus DC, I don't care as long as I get him.
Yeah. I thought it was absolutely genius.
That again tells you a lot about Stan Lee as well, because he didn't care about divides. Like, you get these idiot fans arguing about Marvel and DC, and he didn't care about it.
I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I've heard him say that he basically ripped off a lot of DC's characters. That's where he started. He ain't bothered about it. He openly admitted it.
Yeah, exactly.
They're different, don't get me wrong, but he basically used them as a template.
Just one more cameo I want to talk about. Sorry, before we move on. I like the one in Amazing Spider-Man where I listen to the music and they're fighting.
Yeah,
in the
I was
background.
thinking of that. Yeah.
That one is that might be my favourite, to be honest. I'd have to probably go back and watch them all, but that was absolute genius.
But that wasn't the moment I was going to talk about. My other favourite moment. Sorry, did you want to just say something, Adam, before?
I just wanted, since we were on the topic of Stan Lee cameos, my favourite was where he played the librarian in Amazing Spider-Man. Where all the chaos of the fighting was going on behind him, and he's just oblivious. La la la.
He's listening to music in the yeah. I think that might be my favourite. That one.
Yeah. I can't think of how to disagree. There is a video on YouTube you can watch actually of all his cameos. It keeps coming up on my thing.
That's cool. I
might have to watch it. One of my favourite moments was Hawkeye, where he had the Infinity Gauntlet and he's trying to get away from, I don't know what the creatures are called, but I've always felt like with Hawkeye, I've always felt a bit sorry for his character because I always felt like he was like on the sidelines a lot, and I felt this kind of gave him his moment. I mean, the film starts for the start off, doesn't it?
Well, I was just going to say,
and I was so chuffed he came back.
Yeah. This film made me a fan of his character because in the previous films, I mean, the first Avengers, he's basically nothing. He gets a bit more of Age of Ultron, but I always feel like you said, like he's got a bit of the shaft. But in this film, I felt like he was one of the MVPs of the movie for me.
There was a good character arc for him in this one.
Yeah, and when he was killing him, was it Tokyo he was in when he was killing all bad guys?
Yeah, that's why I
was half expecting him to say, "You have failed this city."
I would have got a kick out of that.
It got to a point where I was thinking, I wonder if they might throw that in there because there's going to be comparisons to Arrow in this scene, isn't there?
But just the bit where he's got the Infinity Gauntlet and he's getting away from them creatures, and it's basically that's his moment. If he don't tell the Infinity Gauntlet out of there, they don't get it.
Yeah.
And
then when he sees Nebula, don't know it's the wrong one, and he goes, "I know you," and just gives it glove. I thought that was funny.
And then
that was a good bit.
And when he's like, when he realizes that there's another, he's like, "Holy, what?"
Yeah.
And you know what I want to say about Hawkeye, guys. Now that you brought him up, that moment at the beginning, where I had called this at the end of Infinity War, what happened to Hawkeye. I had called that he would lose his family in this way, but seeing that and the fact that there was no music, it was so chilling. Because the only thing I could think of was if this was a real thing, and imagine me, playing and having a picnic with my nieces and nephews, and all of a sudden you turn around, they're just gone.
Yeah, and what I think was really emotional about it as well. We knew what had happened and the character didn't.
Yeah.
So we're watching it knowing what's happened and he doesn't have a clue. You just see like the little dust particles blowing away, don't you?
Yeah. And so that was... But then again, seeing him as Ronin and in the badass mode, I loved it. I think.
It was cool, yeah.
And it gives me so much hope for the miniseries that they're going to do on the Disney Plus.
Is he starring in that as well? It's not like a prequel, is it, or anything? Right.
He is, and he's going to be training a replacement, from what I understand.
Cool.
So it's a passing of the torch, but
I think we should maybe talk about the moment with Scarlett Johansson because
I was going to say that.
Yeah,
I was going to say that. So we might as well move into that. Aren't we? Were you guys a little shocked by that? Because I was really shocked. I wasn't expecting that at all.
I was shocked because I thought, okay, even though they're doing this Disney Plus series, they can always set it. I had thought, okay, they're because they're going.
They had time to play with, didn't they? Yeah.
I said they're time traveling, so my thought was, at the very least, they can do something to bring him back, or they could set it in the past. So I thought for sure that Hawkeye was going to be the one to go, because for the last year I've been saying, well, Hawkeye and Captain America were the two that I thought these guys are biting the dust. And
you're wrong, aren't you?
I just thought, because of what I was saying before, he's been a bit of a sideline character, and I thought, they're just going to throw him away. Plus, he's become a killer. It's like they're just going to get rid of him.
Like the writing was on the wall.
Yeah,
and then when it's Black Widow and Scarlett Johansson, I'm like, no way. I'm like,
and we know she's getting her own movie.
Which is interesting. And she wouldn't answer that question in the interviews, would she? She wouldn't answer it in the. So I don't know if it's a prequel or. I hope we don't bring it back.
I think it is.
It's a prequel.
It's got to be now on it.
You know what they're gonna do? You know what they're gonna do with that movie? You know how her and Hawkeye keep talking about, well, it's not like Budapest?
Budapest.
Well, we're gonna see the Budapest adventure. That's my theory.
Well, I assume Hawkeye's going to be in that movie.
I would think so.
He's got to be, hasn't he?
I'm telling you, they're gonna show us Budapest.
Hopefully, yeah.
That's
You would think so, wouldn't you? That's what they're always talking about. And it's supposed to be a big thing, so that's your NT movie, isn't it?
I'm looking forward to that film, actually.
Well,
I think it's really good.
I'll tell you what right now. After what happened, after her death in Endgame, I think that's going to be a mega moneymaker.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like it's going
to. The way they did it, the fake out, he was basically gone, wasn't he? And then she leapt over at the last second.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I thought he was gone.
So did I, and I was upset because I'm like, you took one of my multiverse wives off the board. How dare you?
As long as you're not married to her on that earth, you're all right.
Yeah, as long as she's all right on that earth, we're good. But no, it was like, and one of the, I'm like, damn, I'm like, she's not really dead. But then after I thought about it, I'm like, well, now her movie has to be set in the past. That was one of the first things I thought right home. But yeah, it was shocking, totally shocking. I wasn't expecting it. But again,
yeah.
I think it has more power, the fact that it's her.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Than whether if it would have been Hawkeye. Because
I think a lot of people would have been like, all right.
Half of the audience would have started cheering, I think. But
well, I thought they might do Hawkeye as well, because inevitably, and we're going to talk about it soon, you knew... I thought two of the characters were going to die, and I thought, if you get rid of Hawkeye, it's like you throw away one where then you've still got the emotional impact.
Yeah.
The two I were expecting to die at the end. So that's another reason I thought they were going to do it, but they didn't. I was just like, oh my god!
I think we should just talk about that moment now, and because I want to just lead into something with that, because going into this film, I was convinced Captain America's going to die and Iron Man's going to retire and have a kid. But then when it jumped 5 years and Iron Man had a kid, that's when I thought, right, I think Iron Man's going to die. But
well, that was your... I was going to mention it earlier when Adam was talking about the kid. I thought that's your moment when you know.
Yeah.
Because...
I was going to actually... I was convinced, basically, that Cap was going to die until Mario from Revenge of the Fans. He had a theory that Cap might go back for his dance with Peggy. And
his theory was damn right. He was spot on.
And as soon as he said that, I thought, I think that's going to happen now.
Go on, Adam.
Here was my thought about how it was going to play out when I started seeing things. When Tony had the kid, remember when he made that, when he decided, okay, I'm going to go through this time travel thing. And he said to Cap, he goes, I want to bring everybody back, but not lose what I have now.
Yes.
So I thought the heartbreaking thing was that kid's not going to exist anymore. That's what I thought.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So I thought he could lose his kid as well. That was the other theory, but
that's an awful thought as a parent.
There's been a lot of inklings, though, aren't there, about Downey Jr. wanting to step down and forgot his name, Captain America. What's his proper name?
Well,
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans.
Yeah.
But we knew. But the thing is, we knew his contract. Chris Evans' contract was done. We knew that he was done.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, okay, for Robert Downey Jr., think about it this way: every time he shows up in these movies, all he has to do is show up.
Suit on.
No, not even. Yeah, for 10 minutes he shows up, in a fancy suit, as if he's going to a Hollywood premiere. The Iron Man stuff he could do on a Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. in his pajamas, because all you need is his face. So I'm thinking to myself, why would this guy not want to keep a $50 million cameo gig for years to come? Because that's all it is. Like, really. I mean, it's not $50 million per cameo, but I think he got 20.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
He got 20 million for 8 minutes of Homecoming. So why would you want to give that up? And so, but when
we got enough money now.
But when it actually happened. Can we talk about that now?
Let's just go for it. Yeah,
because there was a moment where in the solo fight between Cap and Thanos, where there was the one near the very end of the fight before. I think it was near the end, but he basically chokeslams Captain America to the ground, and it looked like he was going to drive the shield right through Captain America's throat.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is the moment where Cap dies. I'm like, this is it. Here it is. And then that didn't happen. I'm like, oh boy, I mean, what's going on here? And then when the Infinity or the Iron Man / Infinity Gauntlet, because it's a hybrid of both, went on Tony's hand, I'm like, oh crap, they're gonna do it. But the way they did it, even though he was my favorite Avenger, when the call back to not only the end of the first film, but the end of the third Iron Man film, where he says, "I am Iron Man," and then he does.
Yeah, that was so epic.
That is an amazingly powerful way to have him go out.
Can I ask you? Sorry, Adam, to interrupt you. Can I ask you a question? Just because you mentioned Iron Man 3, do you now appreciate Iron Man 3 a little bit more now after this, bro?
I do. The only thing that still bothers me is the Mandarin twist. That's the only thing that just doesn't sit well.
See, I kind of appreciate all. I kind of appreciate all the Marvel films after this, even the quote badder ones, just because they did that many calls. Well, something I wanted to mention connected to Iron Man, Don Cheadle, I thought he actually got quite a good role in this, which I was pleased to see because I really like.
Yeah,
him as Rhodey.
I do think I do. Like I said, I think he got a beefed up role, and I wonder.
And I like that.
Here's a question I have for you because I have a couple of theories. Maybe we'll save them for the end. Actually, okay, we'll do that. We'll save them to the end if you guys don't mind.
Just do it now, mate.
Okay, so I have two theories. I think what we're going to see now going forward in terms of Avengers specific franchise, I think we're going to get a melding of once these Disney Plus miniseries happen. I think the Avengers team is going to be a mix of some of the current players that are left on the board.
Yeah.
But also they're going to start introducing the young Avengers, and so so sort of the legacy characters and the sidekicks and whatever. And so what taking up the mantles. So what I foresee happening is, we're going to see who we see taking up the mantle of Captain America. Spoilers to happen in a bit, but in terms of Iron Man, like so. Captain Marvel's obviously going to be part of it. Black Panther, Doctor Strange, etc. But I think in terms of Iron Man, they can do one of two things. They can either do a thing where they jump forward in time when it comes to the next Avengers franchise, and have his daughter taking up the mantle, wearing a suit of armor, or do they just continue on with Rhodey? Because in the comic books, there was a moment where Iron Man, quote unquote, died, and he had been mentoring this other girl in the comics, Riri Williams, and so I wonder if they're going to use that opportunity to maybe have a Disney Plus streaming series where they bring her in and they show a period of time where Tony was mentoring a younger apprentice or what have you, or do you think they just either jump forward in time and use his daughter? Or do they stick with Rhodey for a couple more films?
What about?
Can I just say something? Right?
Yeah.
I think Rhodey will be like one of the elder Avengers who guides the young kids, like you said. I don't think he'll become Iron Man though. I think he'll stick to what he is.
Well, right.
My theory on Iron Man is the kid from Iron Man 3 may become the new Iron Man, and he was actually at the funeral in the film.
Yeah, I didn't know that. What till I watched the video and I go.
We had to Google it when we got out of cinema.
Was it him?
Yeah, it was the same kid.
Actor, yeah. So my thought is, well, what about him becoming the new Iron? And maybe you don't have one Iron Man. Maybe you have an Iron Man, like a team Iron Man, and you have his daughter, that kid. Do something a bit different.
What about Pepper Potts' character? She called Rescue. Is that right?
Rescue, yeah. But I think.
But she said she's only doing cameos. So
have a Team Iron Man film. You could have Pepper Potts as a small role in it. Rhodey trains the young kid and the daughter to become the new Iron Men and women / woman. Maybe you could do a film like that.
Because the character, the female character that he mentors in the comics, I think her code name is Ironheart.
All right. Okay.
I mean, like I said, the only think about it this way, the only advantage of, because there are some time gaps, right, where you could sort of between Iron Man 3 and Civil War, where you could show Tony mentoring someone else.
Yeah,
that's a way to not only get even more. Because think about it, if you announce that you're doing a 6-episode miniseries featuring Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. That's gonna get. I mean, that'll get you subscribers pretty.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Pretty handily. So that's why in the back of my head, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, because, like you said, there's time to play with in terms of.
Well, you could have. Sorry, just one sec. You could have Tony Stark come back as a bit of a Jarvis type.
Yeah, that's what I think it'll be.
Yeah. So
recorded messages. Yeah.
In fact, if they did do a Team Iron Man film, which MCU, if you want the idea, come to me. Of Rhodey training the new kids, I think you could have something like that where there's, like you say, video messages of Tony.
Yeah. I think personally that Downey Jr. is done.
Yeah, but to get him back to do, never say never. That's why.
Money talks. He was supposed to be done.
Yeah.
He was supposed
just while we've touched back on Downey Jr., I was just going to add do you know how much influence he had in terms of actor power? Because he used to feed the cast and crew. He had a big tent, evidently.
Yeah.
And every Friday he used to change the theme of what it was, and it'd be out from like different foods from around the world and things.
That's pretty.
And also he used to make sure the cast and crew were finished by 10. He used to tell the people like at 10 we're finished.
It pretty much was Iron Man Monty in real life.
Well, that's what they say basically. That's what they said in these interviews. They said basically.
He's one of the most perfect castings of all time. Over Christopher Reeve, that kind of level. That casting that's.
If I am
and the crazy thing is, he was almost Lex Luthor in Superman Flyby. If that had happened, he probably never would have played Iron Man. Maybe. So that's crazy to think about, isn't it? So something else I want to talk about. I want to go to Captain America now because he's always been my favorite Marvel character for years. The arc he has had throughout the entire MCU as a Captain America fan, I could not be more pleased with it. I don't think they put a foot wrong basically with the character.
Yeah.
And I think we all knew, didn't we, at one point that he was going to go back in time. When he went back in time at the end, he wasn't going to come back.
I thought he was going to die, to be honest. And then when he was still alive,
at the end when he was stepping into the time machine, he wasn't going to come back, was he? And the old man stuff if that was CGI, that was some of the best CGI I've ever seen in my entire life.
I really like him. Yeah. When he looked more towards the camera, because at first I thought it's an actor, but then when he looked more towards the camera, I think they aged him.
No, it was him. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So, something I want to say about Captain America, and this might be controversial, right? For me, Captain America is Steve Rogers. I don't want to see anyone else as Captain America. And when he gave that shield to Anthony Mackie's, what's he called it, Sam? I was a little bit like, for God's sake, that was one bit I was really not happy about.
Well, in the comics, it actually goes to Bucky first, but Sam does become Captain America.
Yeah, there's been a few Captain Americas, but for me, I would, if anyone's going to get it, I think it should have been Bucky for a start.
Yeah, because he's got the power, hasn't he?
I have never liked that character, Falcon. I've never liked him.
See, but here's where here's where I'll disagree. Don't get me wrong. Would I have liked to see Bucky get it? Sure. Here's why I think they didn't do it, and they gave it to Sam. Because first of all, like you said, both have had it in the comics, so that's not an issue. But the reason why I think they didn't put it on Bucky is twofold. One, because if you look at the two characters, they're both from the same time period. They're both the man at a time period. Had you put it on him, it's almost like it's a redo. If you know what I mean.
I understand that. Yeah,
you're retreading old ground if in that sort of way. Whereas if you put it on Sam, it's a little bit newer, it's a little bit fresh. But also in the MCU canon, with all the stuff that Bucky has done as Winter Soldier, it's a little hard to put it on him.
That's what I was gonna say.
And get some people in universe, like people, citizens in universe, to accept that this guy who was the Winter Soldier and did all this crap is now Captain America. Whereas Sam Wilson, from moment 1 to moment 12, has always been about, I'm serving my country. So it's a lot easier to make that transition than with Bucky.
I don't disagree with you, but for me, I don't think there should be. I think there shouldn't be another Captain America. I think he is Captain America, and that's to me where maybe they should have done something where, they might still do it because he hadn't literally got the suit yet, has he, or anything. I think maybe they should have maybe took it in tribute to him and take the shield, but be his own character, not be Captain America. Because for me, if you just put in someone else in Captain America's suit, I'm just like, for me, it's almost like not watching what you want to watch. You sort of set.
Well, it's going to be the Falcon suit, just different, like with the color scheme of Captain America.
I suppose.
Like,
I was going to say, how can he become Captain America? Because he ain't got this serum stuff inside him.
Well, that was going to be my other point about
strength. That's
if you
what
have
I don't
to choose between the two. Bucky does have something because he's had all sorts of experiments done on him. Yeah. So from that perspective, that's one thing I was going to bring up actually, which I forgot about. But I just think Steve Rogers is Captain America. And the only other thing I would have accepted, because Steve's an old man, is maybe Steve's son or Steve's grandson becoming the new Captain America or something.
But here's what I'm thinking they might do. They'll give it to Sam for a bit, and either one of two things. Either they'll hope that in a couple of years, maybe Chris Evans will sign to do another 2 or so movies where they can bring him back in the role, or when they do recast, they can say it's some sort of. They can do the comic book trope where it's a clone or some sort of scenario.
I think there was a clone in the comics at one point.
No, but let's say if they wanted to explain an actor who's also but not if they want to explain the recasting, if you will, down the line, they can do it that way. So there's a couple, you know what I mean? So
I mean, I personally, because when I thought Cap was going to die, I've got a comic book written by Mark Waid called Captain America Rebirth, and it's one of my favourite. I think it might be Operation Rebirth actually. It's one of my favourite comics ever, and Captain America comes back from the dead in it. And I thought you could have done that and done a new actor. But I think next time we see Steve Rogers Captain America, I think it'll be in like a new Marvel universe, if that makes sense.
See, I don't think they'll go the 100% reboot. I just think they'll do comic book storylines to facilitate. Say, okay, like.
Do you know something I've always wanted as Captain America? I've always wanted a Saving Private Ryan Captain America film. You know, like that proper gritty World War II story where he goes after like the Nazis and stuff. And I mean, I'm not saying you'll ever get that while it's under Disney, but for me, if you were going to do something like that, maybe give us something a bit different like that.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening.
Not under Disney.
Like I said, if it does, there's I think we're not all of a sudden going to get Sam Wilson Captain America solo movies. I think this is just for the sake of the next iteration of Avengers.
Yeah.
He'll be the Captain America character.
Yeah.
But then when it's time, like either one of two things is happening. Either they'll get Chris Evans to agree to come back for, let's say, a short amount of time, 2 or 3 films, or when they recast the role, they'll say, well, we had this vial of his DNA, and it'll be comic book trickery. It'll be like Batman, where they say it's Captain America, but just get over the fact that it's a different actor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they'll use some comic booky explanation.
So I think eventually fans will start to get used to recasting things. I think it'll become norm one day.
Right, but they'll give
What do you mean? Hulk's been recast about 3 times, hasn't he?
What I'm saying is they'll give an in-story explanation.
Yeah.
To do it. So, but I was personally okay with Sam Wilson. Getting the mantle personally, because I've read some of those stories and they're quite good.
So I think maybe we should get into the final fight a bit now and just talk about that before we wrap up.
Yeah. One thing, can I quickly circle back to the?
Sure.
I forgot about with Iron Man's death. Spider-Man's reaction got me emotional because it's literally a role reversal from Infinity War.
Yeah.
And
good point. Yeah.
When I first heard of the idea of in the Homecoming that Tony Stark was going to mentor Peter Parker, at first I was against it, but then when I saw it play out, and when I saw how it ended here, I was 100% on board with it. It was just done so well, and that was a really strong moment between the two.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
it was definitely a moment where I'm very much. I can't just shed tears. I blub.
Yeah.
So I was really straining to hold it back because I just thought I do not want to start crying in the cinema.
Well, in my cinema, you could hear people sniffling.
Yeah, I could hear that.
Crying,
Yeah. People were definitely in tears at that point. It was really hard, and then not only did you get that, but then you got the funeral sequence, and you're like, it needs to stop now. I'm really struggling here.
It's like, enough of this.
There's nothing wrong with me. I got something in my eye.
Yeah, it was. That was a thing I want to bring up. They had the Tony Stark funeral scene, but what happened to Black Widow's funeral scene? She never got one.
Never mind.
Everybody's like, she's dead. What are you going to do?
She died too early in film.
The feminist groups will go nuts, but beyond that.
Well, actually, can we just talk about feminist groups, right? Something bugged, right, in the finale, right? I'm all for equality. I'm all for this, pro-women stuff. That scene where it was all the women in the finale, I just thought it was too on the nose. It was like, hey, look at us. Look at us. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It didn't really bother me. I know what you're saying, but I think that's maybe...
It was all right at first, but then when she showed up, the Wasp, and then someone else it got to a point where we're like, literally, where are all the men? Are they all over the other side?
Well, my thing was, like, it wasn't bothering me. Like, it didn't ultimately bother me, but it was like they were winking at the camera saying, look at us.
That's my problem with it. I'm all for it, but I thought that was my problem with it.
Look at how empowering we are. Because
and I think that's when it's wrong to do it, because it's almost like you're doing it for the sake of doing it, to try and make yourself look better than you look, if that makes sense.
But think about how, if you think about how they did it. First, Valkyrie saves Spider-Man, and she rescues him and then sets him down after coming in on her Pegasus or whatever that the horse is. Flying horse. And so anyway, so she sets it down, and then every as the women start coming through the wormhole or wherever they come from, they all start getting in front of Spider-Man. and by the end of it, he's in the back of the list, like, really?
Yeah.
One by like they're like those those Jenga toys that you want, but you stack one upon in front of it. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, okay, we get it. Can you?
Yeah.
It's like,
do you see what I mean about it, though? You sort of get what I mean, don't you, Adam?
Yeah, it's not that you didn't like it. It's just the way it was presented. It was like It's like when George Reeves used to wink at the camera as Superman.
Yeah.
This is all a joke.
You can't expect me to be a Superman. And then wink. So, anything else about the final fight then before we?
But I do have something to follow up after the final fight, because you've obviously got the ending, you've got people going off of people, and you've got the Asgardians of the Galaxy, which actually is a comic book.
Well, talk about that.
Is Thor going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
He's got to be on it.
Because he's on the ship.
He's got to be on it. That's why I kept thinking he's got to be. And I know Chris Hemsworth enjoys doing the comedy stuff, doesn't he? Because that's what he said. Yeah, why he came back for Thor 3 originally, because he didn't want to do a solo Thor again unless he got to put some comedy in.
And there's two things. There's talk of a Thor 4 with Taika Waititi there, and also this. So maybe it's a case where maybe he's signed on for a couple more, where or he's going to sign on for a couple more, where it's Thor 4 or Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
I think that'd be great, because you don't want them all to just stop now, do you?
I don't think you do, but I thought there was an opportunity there to maybe say goodbye to his character as well, because he's been through a lot, he's lost his eye and things like that.
Well, I mean, you could have. You could have.
I think there's still some great Thor stories to tell.
Well, there isn't. As long as he's happy to do them, it's fine. But I kind of feel like I don't want him to go out in a moment that's not as epic as this one. This is a moment where you think, right, if Thor goes out.
Think about it this way, Dan. Right, if he goes out in this film, right. He goes out with everyone else. If he goes out in his own film,
all the spotlights
on
him. As long as for me that it's another big Avengers movie where it's epic and it's big, and he goes out to somebody that's really powerful that he can't stop. As long as it's not something where he just sort of fades off, or he's in a.
I don't think they'll do that.
Here, it's so interesting because I'd like to see them introduce, like, for a future Avengers movie. Like if he's going to be out there in space with the Guardians of the Galaxy and whatever, why don't you bring in that Beta Ray Bill character? The alien horse-like Thor character.
I don't think I know that is.
I don't know what that is either.
Well, look him up. Anyway, he's part of he's a character.
I mean, yeah, I do. Yeah.
What's he called, Adam?
The guy's name is Beta Ray Bill, the character's name, and it's this alien. it's hard to explain. He's this Asgardian humanoid creature that has a horse face. It's really.
It's like that horse in Brave Star. Remember that cartoon, Brave Star?
If Thor was basically short of the end of the stick. If Thor was a humanoid horse, basically.
Evidently, he's in the Thor Ragnarok trailer. Him.
Yeah, there's some allusion to him. Yeah. So I'd like them to bring. I mean, go wild and bring him in.
That sounds all right to me.
I'd rather them not do that than bring in Jane Foster as Thor, because if I have to stomach, what's her name? Natalie.
Oh God, Natalie Portman. Yeah.
As the female Thor, no.
I don't see that on there. I don't think she left on good terms.
She was such a better actress as a child, and as she's got older, she's got worse. I think it's because she did that bloody Star Wars film.
Honestly, I think it was the material they gave her.
Maybe, yeah. Although she's bad in the Star Wars, then again, everyone's bad in those Star Wars films out of them prequels. So
yeah, most of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just
they almost ruined Ewan McGregor's career.
Yeah.
If you're gonna bring, like I said, if you're gonna bring Thor with the Guardians, there's a perfect opportunity to start sowing the seeds for Beta Ray Bill.
Well, I presume you know, Adam, but I don't know if you know, Bob, that Asgardians of the Galaxy is actually a comic book.
It is a comic book.
I didn't know that. No, I don't
it was on something I watched earlier.
And then when he mentioned that was kind of cool. When he did the name drop.
we all know who's in charge.
Yeah, that was a good back and forth. that really carried over from Infinity War. I like
yeah. This is my voice. I always talk like this. So the final battle, were you happy with how that went down? And well, we all were happy. Let's face it. And were you happy with how like Thanos was defeated and stuff? And
oh yeah,
totally.
To me, again, it goes back to things coming full circle, and to see Thanos and his army turn to dust was, that's like somebody getting their justice.
Especially that bloody annoying one who got, Spider-Man killed in Infinity War.
Yeah.
I hated him. Yeah. I absolutely hated him. I think you were supposed to hate him, so he did a good job.
Yeah, no,
but to be honest, none of them were very likable, were they?
No.
No, do you know what I like about Thanos though? I think Thanos actually respected Tony Stark a lot, and I think it was evident in the two films.
Yeah.
And I think at the end, I like that he just sits down and just accepts his fate because he knows he's lost.
And the cool, you gotta remember that there was a part of the ending where. But first of all, let me just say that initial battle sequence when they're all running towards each other and they start to fight and it's this big melee, that was like Lord of the Rings level.
Yeah.
that was going to be in my wrap up.
I was just going to say, did you get goosebumps like I did when Cap just said Avengers Assemble and they were all there?
Because
I was like,
before Avengers
I don't know who that character is from Doctor Strange. What's he called? I love him. I think he's great.
The Asian guy?
Yeah, he's so funny.
Wong.
He's like, what, you wanted more?
Yeah. I'm like, there's 1,000 people in this movie. How much more? But yeah, so visually, like the spectacle wise, it looked like it rivaled something in Lord of the Rings easily.
Right.
But then, like you said, at this point, you're so emotionally invested in what's going on that, yes, the spectacle looks good, but I think all three of us wanted to see Thanos get just destroyed.
Yeah.
So the payoff to the fight is exceptional. But there's the moment where before that really stuck out to me. Before Iron Man puts on the gauntlet, and Doctor Strange looks at him and gives him that wink and the nod, and then you go back and when Bruce was talking to the Ancient One, he says there must have been a reason why Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And the reason was that in that one scenario where they won,
which we all knew, didn't we, from even Infinity War?
Tony Stark had to die. Tony Stark had to sacrifice himself.
Yeah, well, he's pointing one at him, isn't he? And I think that's when Tony knows the one chance is that he's got to take the stones.
Yeah.
When he actually says, I am Iron Man, and does it, it's just, He's epic in it.
I think that bit where he's just got his finger, they kind of pause on that a little bit, and I think that's one of those really subtle, kind of epic moments.
At that point, I'm like, don't leave. I was like, come on, sign another deal.
I'm sorry.
No, but it was great, and it's just like I said, the callbacks to in that last scene there were so many callbacks.
Yeah,
like 3 or 4 different films, and it's like, oh.
I mean, there's a hell of a lot of fan service in this movie, but I don't get why people talk about fan service as a bad thing. I think it's amazing.
Yeah,
and it was amazing in this movie. It
was absolutely for me. I absolutely.
It's like you said, Adam, the full circle thing. They just went through basically. Oh, this is that movie. This is that movie.
And then they went back in time to the previous movies. That I loved all that because got the feel. When you got like the feels you watching the Avengers and stuff, and they actually made Thor: The Dark World kind of important in a sense.
Yeah, I'm like, look, because in my head I'm thinking, okay, first of all, when they took me back to Avengers Assemble, I was like, oh man. And they show Hulk smashing everything. I'm like, I remember that moment so vividly because we took my nephews and they were smaller back then. There was 2012, right? So that was 7 years ago. So they were smaller, and I'll never forget after that. My youngest nephew was jumping in and out of his seat as the Hulk was smashing things. So, and I never forget that when we left the theater that day, we have 2 boulders outside of our theater that are chained down. Well, my nephew is so excited by what he saw with the Hulk, decides that he's the Hulk, and like try lifting. And I'm like, "What are you? What are you, an idiot?" I go.
Well, I think we can all agree the Hulk steals the first Avengers movie, don't they?
Yeah, but to see that moment from a different angle was so unique, and the fact that they drop you in the first scene you see. Is that turnaround shot where you see them all standing together?
Yeah, that's like the epic moment.
I was like, man, that gave me chills. And then, like you said about Thor: The Dark World, I'm like, okay, notice they didn't show us one iota of that terrible villain, Malekith, or whatever the hell is name.
Well, you saw him on screen for a brief, didn't you, for a little moment earlier in the film?
Yeah, I must have
about the Dark Elves.
I must have tuned that out.
I didn't see that.
It was when Thor was explaining what when he was explaining what the Infinity Stones were to the Avengers earlier in the film.
But the best part, to me, one of the best parts of that movie was Thor's interactions with his mother and her death, which was really impactful. So to go back to that. And
this was the whole bit that was like Back to the Future 2, though, wasn't it? It was like
one of my favourite parts of the film, really, in some respects.
Like you're both saying about seeing it from a different angle, and you get those little extra scenes as well, like even Hulk walking down the stairs, which was quite funny.
That's all new. But then you see he takes out, he smacks Tony, knocks him unconscious when he flings up the bloody stairs.
And you get to see what happened after Loki asked for a drink. As well, like you got those little, and he said something, didn't he? And I can't remember what the hell he said now. Oh, it's gonna bug me.
You've just made me ask, actually.
The Captain, the Captain America, because he turned to Captain America briefly, didn't he?
Yeah.
That kind of sets up, even though it happened before, the turning into him in the Dark World, because he does it again in that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
For a brief moment. So
you just remind me of another moment what I talk about. So is Loki now alive?
Oh, that's a good point, because he disappears, doesn't he?
Because he just takes the thing, doesn't he, and disappears. And you're like, all right, so is that his way back?
Well, it's Loki from the past.
Well, they got Gamora back from the past, didn't they? So maybe.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, because she's obviously disappeared at the end as well, because that's what he's looking for, isn't he, on the screen? But that's what I mean. So does that mean Loki's still alive? Because effectively,
maybe
they haven't captured him anymore, so everything changes then, doesn't it?
It gives them a.
It was a bit confusing, the timeline thing. I was getting really confused.
Well, but Hulk explained it really well, because he says, going back in time, you're not changing the past. That going back in time, that's your future, because you're still in your present. And when he explained that, that's when I kind of saw it out in my head, and my thought was, everything's happened, but I feel like they've created these new timelines, but those characters, everything still happened. If that makes sense. That's why Gamora can still be alive, even though she died in Infinity War. Yeah. Because this Gamora's from a different timeline, if that makes sense.
But they take the Infinity Stones back, so the timeline stays the same, don't they? That's what I thought.
Sort of, but they've already changed time.
Yeah, but they didn't. But see, Cap staying.
So confusing.
My thing is Cap staying. Cap staying in the past and having that dance. Doesn't that ultimately change things?
I read a theory on this that he could have effectively changed his timeline, but somehow morphed back into our timeline, and I can't remember exactly how they explained it, but I kind of went, "Oh yeah."
I've got a different theory on it. I think there's two Steve Rogers throughout the entire MCU when he comes back. So I think that he's growing old with Peggy, and then when he goes back to see Peggy, I assume he just stays out of the way because he knows he's going to come back. He knows what he's going to do, doesn't he?
That was one of the theories.
Yeah,
that's my theory on it as well.
Yeah.
So, I think we should wrap up now then. So
I've got one last thing.
Go on.
There was
an end credit. This podcast now.
It's all right. There was.
Yeah, but the movie is so big, it kind of has to.
Yeah, true.
There was an end credit scene. Did either of you see it?
Was it the actors signing the names? That one?
No. Well, you wouldn't have seen it because it's actually audio, and
you know Iron Man.
The Marvel logo at the end. It ended with. Do you remember in the first movie where he's making the first Iron Man try to escape? He's banging the hammer down, and that's how they ended on the Marvel logo.
Did you
just hear him hammering. No, I had it on a video.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was really good. But there was some other little bits as well. I didn't quite get what they meant because I didn't stay, but I think all the characters come up like the main characters, like Captain America, Thor, and all that. As I presume they meant like a drawing version.
And the actors sign the names digitally, and they come up over the.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, we actually stayed for that bit. Me and
I didn't. I just as soon as it went, I thought, right, I want to get to the toilet quick.
Yeah.
So, right, guys, do you want to give your final thoughts and then we'll do ratings?
So I'll go then.
Sure.
The one thing, going back to what you were saying about Lord of the Rings to me is the ultimate, and I'll say movie because I never watch. You're never going to watch one of them. You're going to watch all three. Sure. And they make me feel every emotion, and that's why I would say to my wife, that is why I love watching those films, because there's nothing makes me feel it. So that to me is the pinnacle of any films ever. They are the ultimate. Why I would say if it was kind of Desert Island Jobby, you can only take like 3 films we are, take them 3. And I felt that in Infinity War and Endgame both, and especially Endgame, made me feel so emotional, and I felt every emotion going through that. I just thought it was superb, and I still don't know whether I thought it was as good as Infinity War or whether it was just a little bit less. So I'm going to go that I think if I rewatched them, I think Infinity War was. Well, I did rewatch Infinity War and I thought it was great again. But I think if I watched Endgame, it might not have the same impact. So I think I would give this a 9 out of 10 because I think I give Infinity War a 9.5 out of 10. But that's how I'd explain how this made me feel. It wasn't quite up there with Lord of the Rings because I would give that a 10 out of 10. I just think it's brilliant. But I do think it made me feel that epicness and the big battles and the emotions, and it made me laugh, and everything that Lord of the Rings kind of did, this did as well. So I have to just absolutely applaud Marvel and their writers for producing an absolutely epic couple of Avengers movies.
Right, Adam?
Yeah, for me, I'm just I'm gonna echo what Dan said in the sense that this movie made me feel, and again you can say that for Infinity War as well. You ran through the emotional spectrum while watching this movie. There was humor, there was sadness, there was a lot of character development and payoff, or like the payoff of the development over the years. And I keep going back to this statement. The fact that for our core 6, to a degree, each one of them was able to come full circle to where when we first met them, I think is an incredible achievement. I think that while there may have been less action in terms of time on screen in this movie, the visual spectacle, they raised the bar again. in terms of CGI and the like and stuff like that. I just think from top to bottom, this was a phenomenal experience, and I can't wait to have the Blu-ray so that I can, hopefully when I have a day to myself, I can watch 5.5 hours worth of Infinity War and Endgame back to back.
That'd be good to do.
Because that'll be quite the experience. So I love this movie, and even though I'm sad to see the end of Iron Man, they did my my Marvel boy right, and I couldn't be more pleased with what I saw in the theater. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 9.5 out of 10.
Sweet, nice. Right then. Again, I said earlier a satisfying conclusion to the MCU. I know it's not the end of the MCU, but the way I see it is it's the end of the
season finale.
Yeah, as you said, season finale. Yeah. As a Captain America fan, Steve Rogers Captain America fan, I want to preface because obviously I wasn't quite happy with handing the shield to Sam, but going through from the first Avenger to now, I could not be happier with the way they treated my Marvel boy, right? As well. And it's been an absolutely incredible journey. And if this had been the end, I think it would have been a perfect ending. A flawed but perfect ending, if that makes sense, to this arc for these characters. And it's almost a sad feeling because we know like some of these actors are done with these roles, but we've kind of grown up with them in some respects. And I mean, some kids probably have probably been very young when they watched the first Iron Man and then gone through them. And, you know, I want the box set now. I want the big box set of all the films. Which
that's going to cost you a pretty penny.
I like how they do the DVDs, but they don't, you know, like Phase 1 and Phase 2, but they don't do the Blu-ray versions of that.
Yeah, it's weird that.
That's what I want.
Yeah, it's really weird. So in respects of like you said about Iron Man, what an incredible arc that character's had, and it is a shame that he died at the end of it, but you know, you've almost got to. It's the hero's journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, die as the hero. Or what was he? What did Hamilton say? Either die as a hero, or
live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah. So
Tony Stark, in a way, kind of did both. Like he was, in some respects, you know, throughout Civil War.
Yeah.
You could classify him as that, but then
you know, and in some respects we talked about like you know the next Iron Man and stuff, but in a sense he's kind of already passed the torch to Spider-Man. In a sort of sense, like he mentored him and stuff. You know, in a sense, not.
Yeah.
Again, and you talked earlier, didn't you, about having some reservations about Iron Man being in Spider-Man, but it didn't. I was worried he was going to become basically mini Iron Man, but I don't think he quite has. I think.
Oh no, it worked. It worked well. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing where we go next. I'm a little bit apprehensive about anything beyond Spider-Man in terms of like, you know, like the next Avengers. That's when I'm a bit like, well, I really need to see what they're going to do. I assume they're going to call it New Avengers or something. And
it's either going to be, it's going to be, from what I understand, like from what I've sort of gleaned, it's going to be a hybrid of, like I said, some of the characters that are left. And then new characters that we're probably going to need.
It's the way to do it, isn't it? Sports teams do it. You know, the older stars get old and retire, and then you still need your experienced players to guide your players, and then.
But you're still going to have your Captain America representation with Sam.
Yeah.
You're still going to have your Iron Man representation. Rhodey or whoever else.
I assume Captain Marvel is going to be one of the. She'll probably take over like Hulk in a sense of being the big badass. You know, the one that nobody messes with.
Yeah.
Again, a bit nervous about where they're going with it, but I'm happier that this is the end. And like for me, even if it, let's say it does go to do more films and it's not as good, I know for a fact I've got all these 22. You know, some of them are kind of not great, but most of them are very good.
And at the end of the day, I think it's safe to remember that Marvel turned Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and. I'll go ahead and say, we'll throw Guardians in there, even though it didn't quite hit the billion. But it turned 3 lesser known characters into, for lack of a better word, $1 billion franchises.
Yeah, exactly. And there were people like, even I was one of them before I saw Guardians. I was like a talking tree and a bloody raccoon. What are you talking about? And then they'd like two of my favorite characters.
Yeah, and they made it work. So to me, when I look at their slate coming from just the ones we know, I think Eternals will be big, especially because they got Angelina Jolie in there, which is a name recognition. So I think that'll be big. Plus, there's a lot of diversity happening in that movie, so that'll be huge. I think given what happened in Endgame, Black Widow is going to see a big return, and that'll probably be a cheaper movie to make, so it'll see a huge return. I wouldn't second guess it. Possibly making $1 billion even, given the fact that she is a holdover from that.
They're kind of like the sky's the limit with them now because they've made that much money and had that much success. They've almost can afford to take a few risks now.
And if you look at something like Shang-Chi, right, which is something they're developing, that has Asian representation, which is still a minority in filmmaking. So that on that level, it's going to be huge. And the MCU's version of Bruce Lee as a martial artist, who doesn't want to see that?
Yeah.
So. And who knows what they're going to announce at Comic-Con? We just don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and that's cool.
Well, do you know this is not the end of Phase 3 because the Spider-Man movie is actually going to be the end of Phase 3.
Yeah, they said that, didn't they?
Yeah.
Which is kind of strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the Eternals would start Phase 4. Is my guess.
Do you think as well that the Spider-Man movie will have an end credit sequence which will set up the next phase?
I think they'll start back up with that,
and I also think what Spider-Man will probably do is deal with the aftermath of Tony's death and then put a cap on that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, flashback footage with.
Maybe it's possible, isn't it?
Tony,
Yeah. So rating for me, I've gone for an 8.5 out of 10. I thought. It's still a high rating, Dan. Jesus.
What a Debbie Downer. No.
I thought I gave Shazam an 8 out of 10 now, so I loved that as well. So, I think Infinity War is definitely a better film, but like Infinity War, you can't just go watch this movie without watching any of the previous films. I don't think it'd work. I don't know if you'd quite get it if it did.
Do you think you could just go watch? I mean, not if you haven't seen them, but do you think if you've seen them all, watching all the Avengers movies would work, or do you think you need to watch a couple of in between?
I think you could probably get away with that.
I think the pecking order or the viewing order, I should say, for non-hardcore fans who watch them all, would be Avengers, Avengers Age of Ultron, Civil War, then Endgame, or then Infinity War, then Endgame. And
because Civil War is basically
you've got to watch Civil War. But the thing is, I think to watch Civil War, you've got to have seen Age of Ultron as well, because that kind of.
Well, that's what I
said. Oh, did you? Sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, to me, like everybody talks about. Oh, I've seen this on Twitter recently. Oh, Captain America trilogy is the best superhero trilogy of all time, and I'm like, well, it's not really
as a trilogy.
It's not a trilogy because Captain America Civil War should have been called Avengers Civil War.
Yeah, but I think as well, it's not a trilogy because you've got to have certain movies in between to kind of follow the story.
Isn't Civil War the comic though? Captain America comic.
No, it was across all Marvel comics, wasn't it? It was
yeah.
But in any case, I agree with you on that, Adam. It's not a trilogy in the sense the Dark Knight's a trilogy.
No,
it's a trilogy in that the three Captain America films. But you can't watch you have to watch Age of Ultron to watch Civil War. You've got to, because otherwise it don't make sense.
And don't get me wrong, Civil War is still better than Dark Knight Rises, but
Yeah. I like Dark Knight Rises though. It's not.
If anybody listening is interested as well, obviously in the UK, this is iTunes have got a lot of the Marvel movies for $7.99. Not all of them, but I was like, how many can I afford?
Right. So on that note, then I think we'll do as not wrap up. We're just on that. Adam, do you want to give some plugs where people can find you and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, if you want to interact on social media, it's find me on Twitter at Superhero Sci-Fi. We'll chat about Marvel, DC, wrestling, whatever you want. If you want to listen to any of my podcasts, we have Tales from the DC Multiverse, the podcast where my co-host on that show, Travis Hines, and I talk about everything DC, comics, movies, TV, etc. If you want to hear more of a non-DC superhero podcast, listen to Superheroes and Sci-Fi, Musings with Adam and Ryan. That's where me and my co-host Ryan Hillsman talk about sci-fi and non-DC superhero properties. And then if you want to hear me and Steven here talk about wrestling, you can do that on our monthly.
Woo!
I knew it was going to do that. It's probably going to be more monthly, but it's Way Back Wrestling Mania, and our second episode should be up soon, where we did a walkthrough and a breakdown of WrestleMania. So those are my 3 podcasts, and yeah, that's it. Come chat.
Cool, thanks, Adam. Right, Dan, do you want to just tell people where they can find this podcast?
Well, I'll give my Twitter out actually because I don't have any followers. I don't have any followers. Well, I don't.
Now that he's seen Endgame, he wants to talk to everyone.
It's at Marshall2000_UK on Twitter. I don't post a lot, to be fair, but when I do post it, it'd be nice if somebody listened or read. You plug this podcast because I can't remember what Twitter handle is.
No, I meant like what platforms you can find us on.
Oh, we're on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, and there is some other ones that just have a look for us because we're probably on there. Cause I think a lot of people link into iTunes anyway. So yeah.
Right. Well, you can find me on Twitter at SteveBob1984, and if you ever want to just drop me a private message, have a quick chat, I'm happy to chat with people about movies and wrestling
Just one more. We're on YouTube as well.
Oh, we're on YouTube. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then if you want to follow the podcast on Twitter, we are at MBP Movie Pod, and I tend to do a lot of polls. So come and join in, vote in the polls, leave a comment, and even if it's a comment that, well, don't be disrespectful, but if it's a comment like and you want to box them off, just do it.
It's the internet. Being disrespectful is
and if you're a Zack Snyder fan and you're not happy with anything in this podcast, please contact Adam.
if you're a Snyder holic, don't you're instantly blocked.
And that's the end of the show. Take care, everybody.
So long.
See you later.
Cool.
Sorry.
That was fun. I was waiting for Dan to say something for like 10 minutes. I was it felt like
like I'm obsessed with YouTube views. I was just saying his film's gone to 201 views now. So.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
Thumbs up as well.
That's awesome.
That's all. I've watched the whole thing.
I know it went a bit long this podcast, but I really enjoyed that. When you've seen something epic like that, you just want to get it all out, don't you?
Definitely.
I mean, we said we we're gonna go frame by frame, but we kind of almost did.
Yeah,
I think you have to though. So much happens in this movie because I thought that's what you were going to do at first, bro. I thought you were going to.
I don't know about you guys, but I prefer to dart around as well. I don't always like going in order. I sometimes like to just dart around and.
I just felt with this you didn't really want to talk about the deaths till the end, did you? Really?
We got to.
But we kind of did that anyway.
Yeah.